Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Good morning and welcome to our graduation and diversity service, also known as Come As You Are. My name is Jackie Ito Wu and I'll be your chairperson today. We will begin this morning's service with Sambu Jo on pages 24 and 25.
シャーカニョライニユドジョサンゲラ無常ジーポニョライニユドジョサンゲラ
Now we will have sutra chanting, Ju Se Ge, on page 93.
가곤 초세간 이시무조도 시간 후만속 세이프조쇼각 가오무료코 후이다이세슈 푸사이쇼빙그 세이프조쇼각 가시조분도 묘쇼초지뽀 극교미쇼몬 세이프조쇼각 리역구진쇼넨 조에슈몬교 시금의조도 이쇼텐니시 진리기엔다이코 푸쇼무사이도 쇼조산금요 고사이슈야쿠난 가이히치에겐 메시콘모원 에이소쿠쇼아쿠도 스란젠슈몬 고소조만족 이요로지뽀 니치간슈주키 텐코온푸겐 이슈카이호조 고세쿠도쿠호 조다이슈추 세포시시쿠 구요이사이부츠 구소쿠슈토쿠혼 간네시 出上満徳一三概要女分無下知通断未不詳願学営力投資最小損志願略効果大聖の感動国書天人東鎮妙慶ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性一切道本菩提一心往生安楽ナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ
Please stand for our Gatha in the White Book, We Are One, on page 150. And then remain standing for the reading of the three treasures on page 8 in the Purple Book.
Please switch to the Purple Books, page 8, for the reading of the three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.
Now, Reverend Fujimoto will share a Dharma message with us.
Namanda, 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 Namanda. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our graduation and diversity family service. So, combining two things, the Dharma School was here earlier, and they had a couple of their members who are moving up to high school. So not really a graduation, but a promotion, and this being the final day of their temple season, they are going off. They went to lunch together and enjoying this special day for them, and they're going to have a activity outing afterwards. So they snuck out early, and we had a nice service with them earlier. But we do have graduate to recognize today, so that's very nice. I appreciate that. And the diversity portion, it was suggested that we have a service on diversity this year. So to me, diversity means to be open, aware, and accepting of the uniqueness, variety, and the preciousness of each individual we share life with in this world. And so seemed like a very good Buddhist topic to me. So I said, okay, let's do that. Okay. So please join me in Gassho as I read this Wasan. When the waters, the minds, the good and evil of foolish beings have entered the vast ocean of Amida's vow of wisdom, they are immediately transformed into the mind of great compassion. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. So in this poem, this Wasan, is saying all these different minds that we have, our minds. We are bound with our self-centeredness and ego-centeredness, but when we enter the vow of Amida to accept this greater wisdom beyond our own, it's as if all our individual minds are flowing into this great ocean, and we all become of one taste. Okay. So, on diversity, I found this nice story. Later this summer, we're going to be having the Olympic Games in Paris, France. And watching TV, you see the commercials coming up promoting the upcoming Olympics. And just a week from now, I think they have the United States Olympic trials. So that's exciting, trying time for people trying to make the Olympic team and to move on to the Olympic competitions. And so looking at this, the Olympics this year in Paris, it's going to be the first time women will make up half of the competitors that are going to be in the games. Okay, this is 52 years after Title IX in the United States. So in 1984, they had the first women's Olympic marathon, okay, 40 years ago. So back then, it was a big decision whether they should have the women's marathon or not, okay? Distance running was something that they thought women could not do, okay? So the farthest distance that women had were the 1,500 meters, close to a mile, right? Okay, so at that time, all the doctors agree. It was common knowledge that women weren't capable of running longer than that. They would do bodily harm. They would not be able to have children. While they were running, their uteruses would fall out, you know. So this is really a tragic thing to have them run further than that, okay? So in 1981, preparing for those 84 games, the International Olympic Committee announced that they would have the women's marathon in this upcoming Olympics in Los Angeles. It was held in Los Angeles. So they had to prepare, so their trials for the women's marathon would be held in Olympia, Washington, and others, New York, really wanted to host the trials. And why are they picking this little town, Olympia, Washington? So, you know, the people in New York were really upset that the big shots should be getting this kind of attention. But all the community in Olympia, Washington, they embraced this opportunity to host the women's marathon participants, okay, the trial participants. And so thousands of people volunteered in their community. They even changed the schedule of their local college so that school would start later and the dorms would be available for the athletes to come and stay in. And all the hallways were decorated by pictures drawn by the grammar school students and things like this. So it was really community-oriented, welcoming these athletes that will be coming. So this year, to honor the 40th anniversary of the trials, about 60 of the 196 women that participated in those initial trials, they came to kind of a reunion, okay, a reunion in Olympia. And they had this weekend of receptions, meet and greets, dinners, and special events just for these athletes coming back 40 years later to recognize that special time in the history of Olympia, Washington. So they all came back, the community embraced the reunion, and it's a very special time, okay? So some of these stories came out in describing this reunion. In the Olympics, it had been standard that the final event would be the men's marathon. Okay, so on the last day of the Olympics, they would show the men's marathon, and a lot of people are not so interested. You know, they're just running for hours and hours at a time, right? But those people who do appreciate the marathon, it's really dramatic and something to see. But this time, it's going to be the women's marathon that's going to be the final event of the Olympics, okay? So this is, again, a very special thing, and they decided to have it as the last event to really highlight the women's marathon. And they did this to kind of promote the French Revolution, being in Paris, France for the Olympics. And there was a march during the French Revolution. This is 1789, way back when. And women were rioting at that time in the marketplace because of the price of bread. So they were so upset that the price of bread is going so high, they couldn't even feed their families. So the women got upset, and they were kind of urged on by the agitators, the activists of the time to, we should get upset. And they went to the local church and told them to ring the bell, ring the steeple bell to call attention to this. And they had kitchen knives, and they're, upset, right? It's this little community, and they would ring the bell and get more attention, and they're going to do this march march to the Palace of Versailles. And as they're marching, they pass each village, and they're getting more and more people. And they're ringing the next bell, and the next town would join them, and then more and more. And finally, they had like 7,000 or 8,000 people join this march as they got to the palace. And when they got there, they wanted the attention of the king, okay, King Louis the 16th. And so he's listening to them, and they're telling him how difficult their lives are. And it's a very dramatic exchange that happened there. And the king's advisors suggested you should march back with them, join them, and this will kind of diffuse them, and it kind of changed the focus of the political arrangements in France. And the king was previously looked upon as, one of the aristocrats of society, and when he came to recognize and go back to the village with all these common people, peasants, right? And his image kind of changed to be aware of the conditions of the common people in his society, and his awareness grew and changed. And so in recognition of that, they are placing the Women's Marathon as the final event of this hosting of the Olympics in Paris. Okay, so in this story of the trials, lots of interesting stories and personalities. Some of you might remember the names of Joan Benoit Samuelson. She was one of the runners. She won the trials and the Olympic championship that time. So she was the first Olympic champion, okay? So stories about her. Second place in there was Julie Brown, and if you had followed, you would remember. There's another interesting story of this nun who ran, and she was a Sister Marian Irvine, okay? And they nicknamed her the Flying Nun, because she would be running these races, right? And there were also two women, Michelle Davis and Leatrice Heyer, and they were both 28 years old, but they happened to be pregnant. They were both 6 months pregnant, and they're running in this marathon that was going to go on for the first time. So one of those people, Michelle Davis, she was going to run it, and as she's running the Olympic trials, they had an ambulance follow her. So this ambulance is following her, and just as a joke, they kind of handwritten sign in the windshield, calling it the Stork Patrol, right? So she had been a runner. She'd run in high school and college, and very good runner. And so she wanted to hit the qualifying time beforehand, just so she would get some sponsorship money. And it's not a lot, very little. And the story is, even with having qualified and gotten sponsorship money before the trial started, she had to stop at the local hardware store to buy duct tape because her shoes were falling apart. So she taped up her shoes and she ran this trial, okay? So when a few months earlier, she was trying to run a qualifying time to get this sponsorship, and then she found out, she ran, qualified, but that's when she found out that she's pregnant. And so she thought, nah, I'm running this thing. This is so cool. I just want to be a part of it, okay? So she wanted to be part of the trials, the first trials ever. So even though she's pregnant, she checked with her doctor, and they were all, cautious, advising her, well, I'm not sure it's a good idea. And they thought maybe your child's going to have a low birth rate or something, and so you do want to be careful. And so she kept this in mind, but she was running anyway, And so 10 weeks after the trials, she gave birth to a healthy 8-pound baby boy. And her friends gave for the baby this little baby T-shirt that says, I ran the 1984 Women's Olympic Trials Marathon, right? Little kid's T-shirt, right? And now he's 6'7", 250-pound firefighter in Australia. Okay, so he was not hurt by her running this marathon. Okay, so the winner, Joan Benoit Samuelson, maybe you might remember. She always had this little painter's cap on when she ran. When she took the pictures, she had this same little cap on. And 3 weeks before the trials, she had to have arthroscopic surgery on her right knee. You know, she shouldn't be running, but it was, you know, that she had to. She had the best qualifying time. She shouldn't have had to run, but those are the conditions, you know, that should have been automatic. But this is what she needed to do to qualify. And later on, she thought maybe it's a good thing that she didn't overtrain and she had to be slowing down and careful. And maybe that's why things turned out later, that she became the Olympic champion. So then back to the Flying Nun story. She was the oldest competitor in this trials, okay? 48 years old. Can't imagine, huh? To be that old and trying to make the Olympic team or something. And she took up jogging when she's, no, she was 54. She took up jogging when she was 48. So she's a school principal in San Francisco. And she thought, you know, she's out of shape. She wanted to quit smoking. So she thought she'd start jogging in the morning. So she would go out early in the morning, run 4 miles or so, and come back in time for morning prayer. So she did this each morning, and then later in the day, she'd go out for a second run. And so this is how she would train and get in condition, okay? And she got to be a pretty good runner. You know, she didn't realize she's such a good runner. 3 years before the trial, she won her age group at the Boston Marathon, and at the age group of 50 to 59, and she ran it in 3:11. And that's fast for someone that at that age, right? And so finally the trials come. She's 54 years old, and she beat the qualifying time by 15 seconds. So she's there. And on the plane ride, she's going to the trials to Olympia with her coach. Coach tells her, "These are your Olympics. You're not going to go any further than this. You're not going to win. So should we have fun or should we train?" And she says, "Let's have fun," right? So they go to Olympia, and they go into every marathon expo, every party, going to special dinners, whooping it up, and people thought, wow, she's the biggest partier here. So she's just having a great time, and it ends up she was like the 131st finisher, and she ran it in 2:52. It's extremely, very, very fast, okay? And so she's going to this reunion this year, just a couple weeks ago, and she was 94 years old at the reunion, and everybody's welcoming her, and just a tremendous story just to be there again, huh? So special. So all these are a lot of feel-good stories, and sharing this just because I enjoy running. I've always enjoyed the Olympics, and this is kind of seemed to be fitting when we talk about diversity. You know, now it seems so matter of fact that it should be half the women, half the competitors are women, and it took this long for this to happen. And we look, how long has it taken, right? How many battles, how many efforts and personal struggles had to happen for this to take place, and just to bring this little slice of diversity to come to be. So many things. How many places in the world are still crying for these same changes to come to pass, to free their women and to enlighten their worlds. So it kind of continues. Then now we just accepted, you know, what was the problem? There were no uteruses littering the streets when they ran this Olympic trial, right? It wasn't true. They're running tremendous times. It's incredible, okay? So we open our minds through wisdom and compassion, and along the way, we find some diversity. Please join me again, and I'll read this opening poem, Wasan. When the waters, the minds good and evil of foolish beings, have entered the vast ocean of Amida's vow of wisdom, they are immediately transformed into the mind of great compassion. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay, go runners.
Thank you, Sensei, for your message and those inspiring stories. Now, Reverend Fujimoto will introduce the graduate of, I have it after. Sorry. Reverend Fujimoto will introduce the graduate of 2024. Darren, would you like to come up? And Oshoko?
Yeah, Darren, please step up. Yeah, we're happy that you're able to make it with the family. Yay. Special graduation incense. Wait, I'll stay here. I'll take a quick picture. This is good. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Stay here. Joyce, go present.
From the Dharma School, we're very proud of you for your graduation from college. And I think you're going on to get a master's degree, right? That's what I heard.
Later on.
Oh. But anyway, congratulations now.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a picture with three of us. Okay. Picture. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now please stand for Gatha in the White Book, Arigato, on page 36. We're going to just sing verse 2 in Japanese and then in English.
Arigato, arigato.
Thank you to all those who helped with the altar preparations and with the service. Thank you, Reverend Dennis, for your Dharma talk and conducting the service. Thank you to Brian Piper, who's in the back, making sure that all the technical aspects of our YouTube setup is working. Our organist, Lenny Terao-Dor, and for those who did the altar flowers and anyone who provided any special offerings for today's service. Do we have any newcomers today? No, I think so. We would like to share with you some announcements. Next Sunday, June 16th, there will not be a service. We're getting ready for our big bazaar, and that will be on June 23rd from noon to 7 p.m. We're also extending the online pre-orders of teriyaki steak and chicken until today. So if you haven't pre-ordered, you can do it online, or if you're here today, you can see Tom Hashimoto. On June 30th, Sunday, June 30th, is a fifth Sunday, so we will not have service. And on Sunday, July 7th, will be our monthly memorial service at 10 a.m., followed by the Alameda Buddhist Women's Association meeting at 11:30. And we also, are there any other announcements? No? Okay. And today is also Birthday Sunday. So if anyone has a birthday this month, any hands? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Come on up.
June birthdays, please come up in Oshoko. Yay. Okay. Stay up here. Are there any others? Okay. We had one this morning from the Dharma School. Why don't you join her? We'll sing happy birthday. Stand up and face everyone. This way. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today's service. Please come forward and Oshoko and join us for refreshments in the social hall. Thank you.
Oh.